Hello and welcome to yet another episode on physical education. And today we are talking about the role of University Grants Commission, that is UGC, in providing infrastructure for physical education and sports in universities and colleges. Recently, UGC has provided grant to the tune of rupees 312.20 crores to colleges for the development of new or existing outdoor/indoor infrastructure for ensuring greater participation of students in sports activities under the scheme Development of Sport Infrastructure and Equipment in Universities and Colleges during the 12th plan. In addition, UGC has been sending from time to time directions to universities to fill up the vacancies of teachers, including sports teachers. The government is also making efforts to encourage sports in schools and colleges as per the following details. In the compliance of the provisions of the RTE Act 2009, Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan norms have been revised, which provide for physical training instructor part-time at upper primary level. Under Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan, that is RMSA, financial assistance has been given to states for purchase of sports in secondary schools. In order to promote sports in higher educational institutions, UGC has implemented a number of schemes during 12th plan, that is 1. Free education for sports medal winners / participants of national / international events, development of sports infrastructure and equipment in universities and colleges, and establishment of Center of Excellence for Development of Sports in Universities. Keeping in view the fact that a fitter nation is better in performance in all parameters, it is important that the University Grants Commission, that is UGC, supports the development of sports infrastructure in its various colleges and universities to provide an opportunity for the students to participate in sports in a big way. The scheme would provide the basic infrastructure and equipment in various colleges and universities for promotion of sports. This is also an attempt to fruitfully engage the students in their leisure time. Aims and objectives. The aims and objectives of the scheme are to enhance capacity building in various colleges and universities for promotion of sports, with an idea that broad base of the sporting pyramid would ultimately produce enough sportsperson to participate in elite sports. By making the pyramid broader, it would ultimately lead to enough sportsperson which will represent India in international events and bring pride to the country. Keeping in view the objectives of the scheme as mentioned above, the scheme has been designed to offer stage-wise support for gradual development of sports infrastructure starting from the basic to the optimal, keeping in view the participation of students in particular games, the previous performance of the students in particular sports will be taken into consideration for providing support in the form of infrastructure and equipment. All eligible universities and colleges will be provided basic infrastructural facilities as mentioned in stage 1, subject to their proposal being found in order by a duly constituted expert committee. Subsequent upgradation to grant to stage 2 or stage 3, as the case may be, will be done keeping in view the optimal utilization of the support already provided and or facilities available in the institution. And the whole gambit of the scheme is to provide stage wise development of infrastructure with proper monitoring at every level. The University Grants Commission UGC, besides providing infrastructural support, intends to create a few centers of excellence in various regions of the country, which will not only be the support system for our budding sport persons, but also act as a nursery for sport scientists, which will ultimately provide a massive human resource to the Sporting Association and Federation of India. For this purpose, the UGC will identify departments of physical education in 5 universities and will designate them as Center of Excellence for Development of Sports, that is CEDS. Now the objectives. The main objective of the scheme is to facilitate certain selected universities to develop CEDS, which will encompass the sports infrastructure as well as the sports sciences. The UGC will provide liberal grants to the selected universities for this purpose. In turn, the universities / centers would be expected to do the following: to cater to the needs of the sportsperson of the region by providing high quality infrastructure, to provide scientific backup for pre-competitive evaluation of the sportspersons, to provide a platform for training of coaches so as to create a large pool of trained human resources in sports. Next is to run academic programs delineated as under: to run degree programs starting from first degree up to doctorate level, to provide flexible bachelor's program for the sport persons so that their sporting activities are not curtailed, to run diploma and certificate courses as vocational programs for the sports persons, to provide platform for multidisciplinary research in the field of sports sciences and sports, to provide a public education program in healthy living and wellness for general population, to promote excellence in academic programs relevant to sportsperson and the society as whole, to take up networking and collaboration with other institutes of higher learning, national laboratories and centers of sports in India and abroad, to serve as a repository of available knowledge in the country in the field of sport sciences. Now the target group: all central universities, centrally funded deemed to be universities and state universities receiving development assistance from the UGC, which have developed reasonable infrastructure for development of the sports and shown evidence of high quality research capability, will be considered for UGC assistance under the scheme. 5 universities will be identified under the scheme during the 12th plan. Eligibility criteria: any university aspiring to receive financial support under the scheme should meet the following criteria: university should have adequate sporting infrastructure in some of the major disciplines in sports. University should have adequate sports sciences laboratories and backup and human resources for evaluation of the sport persons. University should have attained A grade accreditation by National Assessment Accreditation Council. At least one faculty members working in this field should be well recognized by national/international bodies/academics or should have other distinctions. University should have demonstrated competence in research work by adequate publications. University should have made distinct contribution to the development of knowledge in the field of sports sciences and sports. Nature of assistance: the nature of financial assistance under the scheme will be as follows. The financial assistance of the university will be limited to a maximum of Rs 25 crores for a period of 5 years. The funding to the university will be project oriented, and the university will submit a detailed project report indicating the major items of proposed expenditure under the scheme. The grant under the scheme will be used for the following activities: for conducting research in the field of sports sciences and sports, for meeting the salary of additional academic research staff during the implementation of the scheme, for meeting the expenses on the purchase of equipment library resources working expenses during the implementation of the scheme, for conducting faculty development programs and conferences in the related fields, for creating new infrastructure augmenting the already available physical infrastructure, for developing sports sciences and sports medicine laboratories, etc. The grant will be used as per budget and action plan finalized by the expert committee in each case. Procedure for approval by the UGC. The UGC will invite the proposals from the interested universities by issuing a public notice on the UGC website or by sending a circular to all the universities. The interested universities will submit their proposal in the prescribed proforma, enclosing therewith a detailed DPR and proposed action plan and items of expenditure. The proposals will be scrutinized by the standing committee or by a subcommittee constituted by the standing committee. Outside experts may also be co-opted in the subcommittee. If the standing committee so feels, the standing committee will identify 10 to 15 universities based on the merit of the proposal and the parameters which standing committee may develop in its wisdom. The identified universities will be visited by an expert committee. The same expert committee will visit all the identified universities to ensure consistency in evaluation of the proposals. The selected proposals will be placed before the standing committee, which will examine the reports of the expert committee based on the parameters developed by it and will recommend 5 cases for approval of the Commission. Procedure for release of grant. 50% of the grant allocated other than the equipment grant will be released as the first installment by the UGC to the university selected under the scheme. The release of second installment of grant to the tune of 40% of the allocation other than the equipment grant will be done after receiving utilization certificate against the first installment of grant. The final installment of 10% of grant will be released after receiving utilization certificate against total allocation and completion documents in case of construction activities. 100% grant for purchase of equipment will be released in one go once the physical infrastructure to house the equipment is in place and an intimation to this effect is received from the university. If the physical infrastructure to house the equipments is already in place and such an intimation is received from the selected university with a request to release equipment grant, UGC may release the equipment grant in the beginning of the program itself. Procedure for monitoring the progress. The minutes of the meeting of the advisory committee and the annual progress report about the activities of the center will be submitted to the UGC every year. The progress made by each university under the scheme will be reviewed after the end of 2 years by the standing committee at the UGC headquarters. The university will make a presentation highlighting the activities undertaken and the grant utilized under the scheme. If the standing committee is not satisfied with the progress of the work, it may recommend for constitution of an expert committee for on-the-spot inspection of the university. The standing committee will consider the report of the expert committee and based on the report will take a decision to recommend to the Commission about continuation or discontinuation of the center. The University Grants Commission has directed its affiliated universities to start 2 new programs in sports sciences. A notification has been issued to all universities regarding the same. Universities are asked to start 2 new degree programs in sports science, a 3-year Bachelor of Physical Education and Sports program and a 2-year Master of Physical Education and Sports program. Some programs in physical education are already being carried out in several institutes monitored by National Council for Teacher Education in order to encourage the learners to take up teaching as their profession. These new programs are launched with the motive of creating capable professionals who would work in the field and apply for the director or assistant director level positions. The notification issued by the UGC had the nod of the central government. The UGC has also asked universities which are already offering B.P.Ed and M.P.Ed programs that they should restructure these programs and award the degrees with the latest launched programs. All colleges/universities can avail assistance for creation of sports infrastructure up to 75% of the estimated cost, subject to the given ceiling through the University Grants Commission. The lump sum grant is placed annually at the disposal of the Commission by the department. The grant is sanctioned directly by the department in favor of technical/medical/agricultural/colleges/universities. The scheme also provides for assistance to the Association of Indian Universities on a decided pattern for inter-university tournaments, coaching and training camps for participation of universities teams in national and international events. The association has also been authorized to make recommendation to the department for award of the prestigious Maulana Abul Kalam Azad Trophy, that is a rolling trophy, to the overall winner of the inter-university tournaments. A cash prize incentive of ₹50,000, ₹25,000 and ₹10,000 is also given to the universities winning first 3 positions. This amount is to be utilized for purchase of sports equipment. In this scheme, grant is also given to Sports Authority of India for award of monthly scholarships to talented sportspersons of colleges/universities. Sports federations are financially assisted for conducting national championships, organizing coaching camps for preparing teams for the participation of the teams in international tournaments. Limited secretarial support is also given by way of reimbursement of salary of the paid joint/assistant secretary of the federation. The requests for assistance are processed according to the guidelines laid down by the department. There are 54 recognized national sports federations. The Indian Olympic Association is also treated as a sports federation for the purpose of support and financial assistance under the scheme. So, we have come to the conclusion of this episode. Now, let us summarize what we have learnt. So, in this episode we have learned that how University Grants Commission is helping out the students from all over the country in universities and in various sports associations by providing them with financial grants for sports facilities and infrastructure. I hope the information provided was of some use to all of you. Thank you so much for watching.